How's it going in Clinton camp these days? Obviously, Bernie Sanders surging in Iowa. Do you get the feeling from the people you speak to, the insiders on the campaign, that she's really nervous, or and looking in a rearview mirror, or it's so far away from Iowa?
They're looking forward, not in the rearview mirror, but they're nervous, and they're launching a bunch of ads. They're increasing their ad buys in Iowa and New Hampshire by about $4 million in the course of the next week. So that tells you that they feel like they need to be on the air, and they're getting her out. She did an interview today with Andrea Mitchell, which I think is probably the sound that we're going to play.
Okay.
Nobody told me we were doing that.
Let's give it a whirl.
She did an interview with Andrea Mitchell today. Let's take a listen to that, or a little bit of that.
At the end of the day, I am sorry that this has been confusing to people and has raised a lot of questions, but there are answers to all these questions, and I will continue to provide those answers, and those answers have been confirmed and affirmed by the State Department and by other government officials, and eventually I'll get to testify in public, and I'm sure it will be a long and grueling time there, but all the questions will be answered, and I take responsibility, and it wasn't the best choice.
So she's still on the emails. She's still having to defend herself against using the private server. This won't go away.
It's an issue that won't go away. The guy who set up the server for her yesterday pleaded the fifth and said he wouldn't go and testify in Congress. Obviously, his lawyer is worried about criminal prosecution. That's one of those, whether there's a legitimate concern about that or not, having someone who worked for you plead the fifth is again, just an element of how this story is out of her control.
Yeah.
Like, bad headlines come out even when she hasn't done anything wrong in the moment. The email thing, what's interesting about this interview is she's adopted a very different posture. It's like 2 weeks ago, her attitude was combative and dismissive and making jokes, kind of snide jokes, and talking about how no one cared about it, no one that she met ever brought up the email issue to her. Now she's in a much more contrite, much more a sober kind of temperament. She's saying, I understand this is a problem. I understand people are confused by what I did. It was above board, but I understand why people are worried about it. She's trying to adopt a new tone to it and be more... she's not quite contrite.
No, but she's engaging.
She was twice asked to say she was sorry for doing it today. She refused to do that. She then said she was sorry that it caused confusion. So, again, the word sorry came out of her mouth, but not over the actual setting up of the server.
That is semantics. You follow this, obviously, much more closely than I do. She hasn't ever actually explained why she deleted tens of thousands of emails, has she?
Not in a way that anybody finds satisfying. Her initial explanation is still the one from the press conference at the UN a few months ago. She basically said, I set up this email server because I wanted to have two devices, or I didn't want to have two devices. That sort of didn't strike a lot of people as plausible, given that a lot of people have two devices on a single server. Right. Why she did it, the deletions of the email, she says they were all personal. A lot of people have some doubts about that. It's still a big question, like a kind of fundamental unanswered question, like why did she do this thing that no other cabinet secretary in the history of the country has ever done? Like decide to set up a private server, a whole private email system, not just have a private email address, but a server at her house, and then destroy 30,000 emails, and it's just, no one really knows the answer.